Hello and welcome, Pokemon fans. There are those who call me Bard Breaker, and it's time for another Sunday Pokemon Challenge run. Last week, we sunk a load of time into defeating Pokemon Heart Gold with just the move Metronome. And the analytics are in. You all loved that run. In fact, it's my #1 video out of my last 10, and it's quickly on pace to be the #1 overall. With the one-hit knockout move only run a close second behind it, you all clearly love those gimmicky type runs. So I'll do my best to come up with more of those in the future, but in the meantime, I need a bit of a break, so let's do an easier one this week. Today we ask and answer the question, can I beat Pokemon Emerald with a team of only one Scyther? So yeah, before you start complaining in the comments, they can't all be hard as balls challenges like Metronome. You're gonna have to cut me some slack once in a while. I like Scyther, so we're gonna do it. Scyther is a Gen 1 bug-flying dual type that comes in with a stat total of 500. This will put us on par with Pokemon like Alakazam, Gengar, and Politoed. While our HP is alright, our most impressive stats are speed and physical attack. But honestly, everything here is really nice. Special attack could be better, but we'll manage. Moveset wise, we actually don't get a ton. Quick attack and Leer to start, with Pursuit coming as our next move relatively quickly. Our only same type attack bonus moves come a bit later though, and this doesn't give us a lot of super effective type matchups either. But at least normal isn't resisted by much, so I guess that's something. The TMs don't get much better though. We have at least Aerial Ace and Hyper Beam and Steel Wing. Maybe we'll get a good hidden power type if we need it. But at this point guys, like always, I remind you guys that I write the script as I go with my challenge, and at this point I haven't started playing the run yet. Everyone take your guesses down below to please the almighty algorithm, god of the YouTube algorithm, and let me know if you think I can do this or not. Like most challenge runs, I think it's a question of how fast rather than if, but I do think we won't have a snowball's chance against Steven Stone unless we get a good hidden power type. I don't reset for those, so hopefully we can get what we need. Finally, let's go over the boilerplate rules. In battle, I can only use Scyther. I'll need to use other utility Pokemon for things like HMs, but I won't be allowed to use those Pokemon in battle. I also won't be using any items in battle. I will permit myself the use of held items and items outside of battle though. And lastly, I won't be using any cheats, glitches, or exploits aside from replacing our starter with Scyther. So let's do this. So like any good run-through Hoenn, we start out in the back of Neglectful Mother's moving company van before putting a new AA battery in the clock and having to go find our neighbor May. She's not in at the moment, but comes back in as we start snooping around the room. She eventually gives us her life ambition before jumping onto the PC to join her EXO board for a debate on who their hottest member is. Incidentally, the correct answer, Chen. Now we can go find the local town wildlife expert being chased by one of the local wildlife. So we reach into Professor Tree's satchel, Indiana Jones has one, and we pick up our Scyther. I've replaced Trico with Scyther so that we can do the entire run with it. Our rival will wind up with Torchic, which will give us the hardest matchup for us to fight. Saying of which, the rival fight with Torchic is right around the corner, though fortunately for us, it hasn't learned any fire type moves yet. So at this point, we just have to use a couple of quick attacks to bring it down, and from there the adventure can begin, with us getting our Pokedex from Professor Tree and being sent on our way. At this point, like most of our adventures, it begins with the catching of a Lotad for Flash later, nicknaming it Flashelius the 43rd, long may he shine, and we make our way into Petalburg City. Our first stop here is the local watering hole where we contemplate the truly existential crises of our time, such as, who was the first person who looked at a coconut and said, I have got to get what's in there? In any case, on our way out of town, we round up another member of our HM Brigade and pick up a Meryl for Surf later, nicknaming it Aquades the 43rd, long may she swim. And speaking of pickup, I spent a bit of time rounding up 5 members of the Zigzagoon Kleptosius Brigade. I can't use them in battle, but they'll pick up things like potions, nuggets, and so on. This will help me get money if nothing else. Well, rather I pick up 4 members of the Kleptosius Pickup Brigade and take our 5th for Cut later, nicknaming it Snipticus the 43rd, long may she cut, and head on through Petalburg Woods. Our first encounter against Team Blue Evil isn't much of a problem. We hit the Poochyena, it howls at us, so we hit it again and win the fight. While going through the woods, it occurs to me that I never actually checked my Scyther out. It's female and its ability is Swarm, which will power up our bug moves by 50% if our health is less than 1/3 of its maximum. So if we were playing as a fire type that had Blaze, which is that same exact effect but for fire moves, that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, since we're playing as Scyther, which is bug, and there are virtually no bug moves for Scyther to learn, that's really not a good ability. Our nature is naive, so we have lower speed and more special defense. That's not the worst, our speed was pretty good anyway, so a 10% reduction to it, not all that bad. Plus it buffs our special defense, and that'll be good for fire battles later. We make our way into Rustboro City, and once again, Pokemon has decided that out of the 13 types we have to pick from, we have to have a Rock Gym right out of the gate. We're double weak to Rock as it happens, so that's not good, and I give Roxanna level 13 just to see where things stand. And it's not good. We lose in 2 Rock throws and barely touch the Geodude. Alright, we're gonna have to level. So even several levels higher into our 20s, and we still can't quite deal with Roxanne. We're taking her rock throws a bit better, and I do have a good strategy in mind. We start out with a Focus Energy to boost our critical hit chance. In Gen 3, Focus Energy raises your crit chance by 2 stages, meaning that we now have around a 25% chance to land a crit. Using Pursuit, a special dark type move against her low specially defensive Pokemon, makes it the best play. And if we can get a crit, we can actually one-shot the Geodudes. Nosepass is more tanky, so we don't get quite as lucky here. We also have to rely on Geodude either using Defense Curl or missing its rock throws. If we don't crit, we generally lose. We're still not quite there yet. I'm sure we could with enough luck at this level, but with a few more levels, we can probably do this more reliably, and honestly, that's my philosophy. If we're gonna spend a bunch of time on something, I'd rather level up. A few levels later, at level 25, we try Roxanne again with basically the same strategy. Focus energy to boost our crit chance, and then our Pursuit to do the most damage that we can at this point. It's really all we've got. Eventually, after about a dozen or so tries, we finally get things to go our way and land the crit we need against the Nosepass to bring it down and secure us the win to get our first badge. After this, it's time for some Team Evil shenanigans, and we have to go track down some vague equipment and even a bird. After retrieving the goods, we're sent on Package Delivery Simulator. Remember folks, our crew is expendable, your package isn't. And on our way out of town, because why not, I stop for the optional fight against May. And as predicted, she doesn't stand much of a chance. Afterwards, we head back to Petalburg to hitch a ride down to Dewford Town with O Captain, my Sea Captain, and head straight for the fighting gym. Since we've leveled up along the way, we now have one of our only same type attack bonus moves available to us in this gen, Wing Attack. It's a 60 base power move, but it will surely make quick work of the fighting gym, right? And yeah, sure enough, we Wing Attack our way past Brawley without so much as a second thought. Now we get to move on to Slateport City, but before we do that, we complete one part of Package Delivery Simulator by delivering the letter to Steven, hiding down here in his underground hidey hole like the gopher from Caddyshack. After handing off the letter, we now get to continue with our other Package Delivery Simulator to Slateport. Once we finish delivering those Devon goods and beating Team Evil once again, we head north of town and have our next fight against May. And like before, she's a one-shot sweep with Wing Attack. We also level up and replace Quick Attack with Slash for some more firepower and an increased critical hit chance. And speaking of increased critical hit chance, we find ourselves at the Electric Gym and it's time to face Watson. Now, normally he proves to be a fair bit of an obstacle in most of the runs, and given that we're Flying type, you'd think we'd have some problems here too. But no, not really. We focus energy to up our critical hit chance, and then we use Slash, which also has its own increased critical hit rate. Slash hits for a critical hit about 3 times more than a normal move would, and when taken together with focus energy upping our chance to 25%, I admittedly don't know how the math comes together on that, but I think the point is we're gonna crit more often than we won't with that combination of moves. Or at least pretty close to half and half. Though that's not to say Watson is a total pushover, he can still do a lot of damage and paralyze us. But despite my fiance insisting that this plan is foolish, we try it a few times, and within 3 or 4 attempts we secure the win, crit slashing our way through Watson's steel team. Nice. We also level up and learn Swords Dance, which I immediately throw away Pursuit for. Now not only will we have a super high crit chance, but with Swords Dance boosting our attack stat, it's gonna go through the roof now. Nothing is gonna stand in our way. Now we get to go on a bit of an expeditionary mission around the region. Ultimately, this culminates in our fight against Team Red evil boss Maxie, but we just get a few slashes in and down he goes nearly as quickly as he began. From there we get the Meteorite and head down to Lava Ridge. Lava Ridge Town is home to Flannery and the Fire Gym, and we go in trying our usual strategy of trying to go for focus energy plus slash critical hits, but when we get down to Torkoal, we actually get one shot with a Sunny Day plus the same type attack boosted Overheat. And we didn't even do half damage against it, so I don't think we can one-shot it even with a critical hit. Alright, let's try this again. So we try this again, and this time I go for set up the movie of the game and just set up 3 Swords Dances to boost our attack to its max. That coupled with a focus energy to boost our critical hit, and we just mopped the floor with Flannery. We actually got a critical hit on the Torkoal, which I didn't want. I was curious to see if 3 Swords Dances would have done it on its own. Pretty sure it would have. In any case, that's another badge down. Speaking of badges down, it's time to go kick our daddy's ass at the normal gym back in Petalburg City. And he's actually not as easy a sweep as you might think. We can deal a lot of damage against his team, one-shotting most of them, but if we don't knock out the slacking in one shot, it will hit back with counter, which will absolutely crush us, doing back double the damage we gave to it. And this actually takes a few tries to figure out just what the right combination of moves are. It doesn't help that we actually lose to Spinda a couple of times thanks to its teeter dance confusion causing us to hit ourselves. Eventually, we get a run where despite being confused, we get our entire setup of 3 Swords Dances and a Focus Energy in, and then we just slash down the team. Now yes, I know Wing Attack will do more damage than Slash due to the same type attack bonus, but since we have Focus Energy boosting the critical hit chance of Slash, I think it's more useful to go for the likely critical hit over the extra damage, but I'll probably change that philosophy later. Once we beat Norman, Wally's dad comes running over from next door to bring us into his home and give us the HM for Surf. Nice! Now this game can proceed to open up a bit. So that we can proceed around the region a bit more, we go northeast and we make our way towards the Weather Institute. Before we set about clearing it out, we stop and catch a Tropius for Fly later, nicknaming it Flapsity the 43rd, long may he fly, and then proceed about clearing Team Evil Blue out of the weather station. Once we've cleared out the weather lab, we make our way into Four Tree City. All we have to do here is defeat May, but she's a quick sweep without incident. Speaking of without incident, the 4-Tree City Gym is a flying type. So while yes, we are at the type disadvantage, all we have to do is set up a couple of Swords Dances, and then our trusty old Wing Attack is all we have to use to sweep through our entire team. Yeah, this is getting pretty easy pretty quick. We get into Lily Cove City and we have our final fight against May yet again. This time it's the actual final fight against May. And with one Swords Dance under our belt, we Wing Attack our way through her entire team once again. She'd probably be a bit more challenging if she actually evolved her starter to its final form, but what do I know? And now at this point we have to take care of some National Geographic level BS that involves us crisscrossing the region to deal with Teams Evil Red and Blue. First up is Team Red Evil. We have to use strength to get through their hideout, so I stop and catch a Torkoal while we're here, nickname it Bisepticus the 43rd, long may she live, and then we power our way through the cave to the leader Maxi. Leader Maxi, like many before him, doesn't really pose a challenge. We boost up a Swords Dance, get further boosted by his own swagger, and then just Wing Attack the crap out of his team into the ground. Yeah, like I said, this one's gonna be a shorter one. They aren't all gonna be like the Metronome Challenge. I gotta keep saying by doing some easy fun ones once in a while. After defeating Maxi and taking care of some Team Blue shenanigans, I arrive in Moss Deep City. It's home to Tate and Liza, the Psychic Gym leaders, and our next stop on our quest. They're actually a mandatory double battle, so in order to proceed, we have to fish up a Magikarp. It will draw one of their attacks, but it's the only way to do this battle to proceed, and it's the least obtrusive way possible. Now, they are a bit of a tricky pickle of a team, but they're actually not too bad. Xatu likes to go for Calm Mind most of the time, and while Claydol will try to Earthquake out of the gate, it quickly realizes that's not going to work, and then we'll swap to Ancient Power, which we are weak to. After we set up our couple of Swords Dances, our best strategy here is to take out the Claydol first. Solrock then swaps in, which does know Sunny Day and Flamethrower, so it's best to then go for it while Xatu minds its own business, sitting there like a lump on a log, boosting its own moves. After we one-shot the Solrock, Lunatone will come out, and it would have probably been better for me to go for the Xatu at this point since it's had some turns to boost, and Lunatone isn't really going to hurt us all that much, but I did take it out first, and then Xatu boosted one more time before I took it out. That gives us another win and another badge for the book. Before we can leave the island though, we have to team up with Steven in order to clear out the local astronomy tower. Like most of our fights up to this point, it doesn't take a long time, but because we have to spend a couple of turns setting up, it does give Steven's Metang a chance to do something. So often in my solo runs through Emerald, we have to spend a lot of time here just because that damn Metang doesn't do anything. But again, boosted Scyther for the win. From here we have to get our final taste of Team Evil, and just like the last colorblind Jackweasel, Archie here too has grabbed the wrong color ball to awaken the region's second mystical god. Now, I don't know about you, but if I planned a world-dominating quest that hinged on grabbing the correct colored ball, I would make damn sure I grabbed the correct one. In any event, Archie is a fartsy, and we quickly dispatch him with our Scyther's boosted Wing Attack. At this point, I kinda low-key want someone to sketch up a Scyther working out in a gym with a bunch of swords like weights, making his wings all buffed. That's basically the art I think of when I think of this run. All we've done is boost with Swords Dance and then smack things down with our wings. In any event, we go find the green dude, who for some reason doesn't need a child's colored ball to wake up, and then after he settles this minutes-old turf war, now we've restored world peace and can now proceed to the water gym. Water the Wand gym leader is, like many who've come before him, an easy enough pushover with 2 Swords Dances plus Wing Attack. Yeah, this is really just getting silly at this point. I believe on his Love Disc it did get one move off, but it barely scratched us with a Water Pulse. After getting the 8th badge from Wand, now we can proceed through Victory Road and on to Elite 4. But before we do that, we have a nice match against Discount Tiny Tim and boy who somehow gets screen time in this video, Wally. His team isn't awful, and if he were facing a team without the ability to buff itself, he might have a chance. But we get into a buff off with his Altaria and then just Wing Attack down his entire squad. His Magneton did survive, but it just tried to screech at us and thus wasted its turn, which allowed us the win. So after we navigate quickly through the cave, we finally get to face the Elite 4. Well, I don't know why I say finally, we're making almost record time with this video, I feel like. In any case, Sydney is up first and is a Dark Specialist. His Mighty Ina will chunk our attack with Intimidate, but we have the cure for that with Swords Dance. Fortunately for us, the Mighty Ina likes to try and chunk our accuracy with Sand Attack, so that gives us plenty of time to set up Swords Dances. From there, we easily plow over his team with Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is a flying type move that will always hit regardless of accuracy and evasion checks, and since it's equal in strength to Wing Attack, there is zero reason not to teach it over Wing Attack. With an easy win under our belt, we take our next crack at Phoebe, the Ghostmaster. And while I wish there was more to say here, there just isn't. We set up 2 Swords Dances and an Aerial Ace through her entire squad. Fortunately, her first Dusclops likes to use Protect, which gives us our window for setup. If we were to try and get greedy and go for 3, we'll get hit with Curse and then have to reset since we won't be able to beat her team before Curse damage takes us out. But as you can see here, 2 is all we really needed to win. We wouldn't have needed a 3rd. Up next is Glacia the Ice Trainer, a type that we're weak to. Her Celio sets up Hail and we accidentally hit with Aerial Ace instead of setting up. That on its own did really good damage though unboosted, but we go for our trademark setup anyway just the same. She does start to use Ice Ball, the ice equivalent of Rollout, so we have to start pressing the attack. If you let Ice Ball or Rollout get to 5 consecutive hits, it will hit you for 960 base power. So once we press the attack, it's actually again an easy sweep. I actually didn't think that we'd one-shot the Walrein, but even the big blubbery walrus couldn't stand up to our wings. Moving right along, Dragon Daddy Drake is up next, and we immediately lose to 2 consecutive rock tombs from the Shelgon. Oh, well, that took the wind out of my sails a bit. Let's try that again. So on our second attempt, we managed to not get crit by the rock tombs this time, and then the Shelgon starts going for Protect, which allows us our signature setup of 2 swords dances. We then start slashing and wing attacking through his entire team, getting back-to-back crits against Shelgon and Flygon. Even Salamence goes down to a single wing attack after being boosted twice. This is really just insane. Scyther is OP, oh my gosh. Champion Wallace time, Wailord is out first and we go for Swords Dance, it misses Blizzard and we go for a second and it hits hard with Water Spout. From there we breeze through his team though, having gotten our setups in. We one-shot his entire team with Aerial Ace. Is that a sentence you thought you'd hear? Well, let me ask you that again. Is that a sentence you thought you would hear before you saw what a boosted Aerial Ace could do in this video? Holy cow. I knew we weren't going to have a lot of difficulty at this point, but man, that was a kind of anticlimactic end. The credits roll and we get Scyther into the Hall of Fame. Alright then. Now there is still one more fight we can do. Let's see if Steven Stone has anything to say about this. And it turns out it's a resounding slap to the face to knock us on our ass. We just don't even stand a chance here against him. Now granted, yes, we are a few levels lower than his team, but you can see just how much damage an Aerial Ace from the Skarmory does to us. Plus, it can set up Toxic, and yeah. I think if we got to level 100, we could potentially do this, but I don't think it's worth the delay of the video to find out. This was meant to be a for fun run for me, and grinding 30 levels just for one post-game fight isn't that fun in my eyes. Maybe someday down the road we'll revisit this and see, but for now, that's where I'm going to sign off. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I know this was kind of an anticlimactic run, but a lot of you guys have been asking me to do something with Swords Dance, and I think this will show you just what that can do. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Join my Bard Breaker Discord server to hang out with me and your fellow audience members, and until next time, guys, go catch 'em all.